All right, this week we are going cover to cover with The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I'm Jamie Livingston.
And I'm Sarah Laus, and we are so approachable.
So this was my pick, and it was a really fun one, and I'm excited to get your perspective on this one because we've both felt kind of bogged down maybe by the silent patient, and so this one is supposed to be refreshing. It's supposed to be a palate cleanser. So the 3 words that I would use to describe this book are Golden Girls meets Friends.
I mean, I love that. I could totally see that.
But cozy, charming, and delightful are my actual 3 words.
Oh, I could totally see that. I actually felt like it was enchanting. There was parts of it. I definitely felt it was entertaining and humorous.
Okay. I love it. I was trying to think about why I liked it. Because I think they were all so charming and relatable. But let's talk about the characters, because there's a lot.
There's a lot of characters.
Were you able to keep them straight? I mean, we've got like our main 4, our Fab 4.
Yes.
The gang. The gang's all here. I don't know. We can call them what we want them. But we've got Joyce, Elizabeth, Ibrahim, and Ron. Those are our staples. And I think they are just a hoot.
Yes. I loved them. I would love to go sit and have a glass of wine with all 4 of them.
Right?
Yes.
So the fact that this book starts with them asking Joyce about a murder, and it's written just so lovely. I don't know if you remember page 1.
Yeah.
But Elizabeth comes up to Joyce and says, I want to ask you about something like a gunshot or something, but I know that you're eating. Is that okay?
Stab wound. She talks about, what was it? She talks about the knife wounds.
Yes. I want to ask you a question about knife wounds, but I see that you're eating. These people are great. I want to sit down with them, like you said.
And Joyce is like, all right, bring it on. Let's talk about this.
And they ask about, I think it was Donna who asks how they became friends. And they're like, oh, we're not friends. We're just part of the Thursday Murder Club. And so the fact that they don't even call themselves friends, that is silly to me because they're obviously friends.
Yeah. I mean, what are friends then if they're not friends?
Right?
They talk a lot.
They're always with each other. It's not just on Thursdays.
I also want to say, I loved that the whole retirement, thinking about if you want people to talk to you, you leave your door open, and if you don't, you keep your door closed. I was like, wow, that whole concept seems wild.
Like a college dorm, isn't that? Yeah. I didn't live in the dorms at college, but that's what it sounds like to me.
I guess it would be, yeah. Fun.
Yeah. I also enjoyed that Joyce's daughter thought that her moving into this retirement village would be the end of her.
But it was the beginning of her.
And she recognized that it was the beginning and that she got her spark back and loves this retirement village and the life that she's now building. So let's talk about the characters. Do you have a favorite one?
I probably would say I really enjoyed Joyce's perspective. I know that's the only one that we do see, but I really enjoyed her. There was a lot of mystery behind her. I liked her whole background, being a former nurse, so she had the knowledge of some of the things. I would probably say Joyce. What about you?
Mine's a toss-up because I love Elizabeth. She's a boss. I told you, I loved the spy books. I loved First Lie Wins. And so this is our character there all grown up and still using all of the tricks of the trade, and she always has a favor that somebody owes her, and I loved that. And so I loved trying to learn more about her because she was pretty secretive about her past, which as a spy you have to be, but I loved her. But Joyce is amazing, and just hearing her voice is so fun and refreshing, and the way that she thinks. So one of the questions that we have talks about her point of view, because she's the only one that we get first person from her diary, and it's just the cutest thing ever. What did you think?
I actually really enjoyed it. So I love seeing behind the scenes, understanding what's going on in their mind. Again, I'm curious to see how they're going to show this in this upcoming movie. So it's going to be, or is it a series or a movie?
It's a movie, I think.
Okay. So anyway, I'm excited to see how they're going to play that out because it's a lot of in her mind that you're reading through. Again, I always love the difference between book versus movie because I always enjoy the book more, but there's a lot of her diary, right? They're not going to show like line by line of her diary where she's writing in this diary about things that are going on day to day. And maybe it'll be like background noise as she's writing, but I can't imagine them doing that because that's a lot of writing. And so
That's
I really enjoyed
question.
it. Yeah.
Now I'm curious, and I'm like, I can picture it like, okay, did you listen to the audiobook?
Yes, starting.
Okay.
So I started the audiobook and I was like, I don't know why I can't listen to this lady's British voice. And then I took a break for a minute and then like came back to it. And it was so endearing. After, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the day, but I read it. So I read it the same time I was listening to it and I really enjoyed it.
Right. So the audiobook, you have this quaint, just super cute old lady reading all these parts.
Yes.
And so Joyce really came to life with the audiobook. You can definitely pick up the voice while you're reading it as well, but I just loved listening to Joyce. And so maybe it would be her narrating over some of the stuff.
Maybe. Like kind of like a Downton Abbey type of thing. Yeah.
Dear Rita. So I can see that potentially, but it's Steven Spielberg, so it's going to be amazing regardless.
Yeah. And so I'm curious and I'm excited because I don't even have to really think about it that long because it's coming out very soon.
Can we also just like put a pin in this right now and like sign it in blood that we're going to do a book to movie episode and we're going to go to the theater and watch it together?
Oh, yes. Is it going to be in theater?
Yes. It's Netflix. So probably not.
Living room couch. Okay,
Living room couch. It's a date. We're doing this.
Yes. And so I think that it's going to be exciting. I'm excited about it. So, yes. I am really curious to know what was your favorite part of the book? There's so many really great parts, but what was one of your favorite that stood out to you the most?
Ooh, my favorite. I think I just enjoyed exploring. I've said this a million times. I'm not here to predict the outcomes. I'm here for the ride. And I really felt like this was a Sunday drive through the park. Like, it was relaxing. It was enjoyable. I will say that I got very confused by the plot of this book because it's not just one murder. It's not just two murders. There are 3 bodies that we're trying to figure out what happened and different timelines of like, this one happened 50 years ago. This one was 7. Like, I wasn't here for the plot. I was here for their weird ways of solving it. And so I enjoyed that. I don't think I can pinpoint a specific thing. What is your favorite part?
Well, again, I don't have a favorite part. My favorite...
Then why'd you ask me? How am I supposed to pinpoint that?
Because I always am curious, because you and I look differently at things. Surprisingly, my favorite part was unfolding the characters. Normally, I'm bored by the characters, and I'm like, okay, this person's this person. The way that he wrote the characters in and you learned more about them every single chapter. You like dove into what happened in their lives and the way you got a sense of like their personalities. Like Ron, I think of him as a grumpy old man. I loved that. And so there was every aspect I would think of it at a retirement home, right? The sweet old ladies, the grumpy old man, the, like super knowledgeable, like there was even a judge. And so knowing all that, I loved the unfolding. Did I get confused in the characters? Because there were some of them to me that were like pointless in the book. Yes, I did. But the main characters, understanding them, that was probably my favorite part of the book.
Yes, this one was definitely character-based.
Yes.
The development there was beautiful. I actually listened to a couple other reviews, and they talked about how the characters didn't have development, and I was like, okay, well, then I don't know what that means, because I thought they were very well developed, and I understood them well.
Yes.
And there were a lot, and we can bring in Donna and Chris, because they were fun as well.
Right, from the police.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed them.
But the bad guys, I was always confused by and couldn't keep them straight. Ian, Tony, Turkish Gianni, like, what? But I loved Bogdan.
Oh, yes, I did too. And I loved, again, in the audiobook, I loved the accent for Bogdan. Yes, I enjoyed him. Yeah, he was funny.
He is funny, and maybe we'll get to it later. I don't know. Bogdan, I loved, and especially that at the very end of the book, he confesses to 2 murders.
Yes.
But he confesses to Stephen, who has dementia, and won't tell a soul. And so it was just one of those where, like, we as the readers finally get the answer to 2 of the murders.
Right.
We didn't even know there was a 4th murder.
Right, yes.
And so he's like, oh, yeah, I killed him too. Yep, I did. And he flat out lied to Elizabeth early on because she asked him, like, would you tell me if you did? And, like, he was like, nope, I didn't. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't kill for a job. Nope.
And he did.
And he did. But he's just this sweet Polish man who is playing chess with Stephen. It's so precious.
It is. But he's deep inside. He's that morally gray, right? And so I loved it, though. But yes, he was fun.
I will say, in book 2, he's there. And even more prominent.
Oh, I've seen and read a lot of reviews that say book 2 is better.
It is.
And so maybe like in that sometimes people learn their mistakes from book 1 and then change a lot up and make things better in book 2. So I've just seen a lot of reviews of that.
Well, I think it's because we have grown to know and love our Fab Four. And this one, the only reason I struggled with this book is what I had said, that I got lost in the sauce of them trying to solve 3 murders, and it was all over the place. And so even though I had read it, I couldn't have, like last week, told you who did it. And so that reminds me from our TLDR episode, one of the reviews was like, I don't know who did it, I don't know what they did, and I don't even care. I do care, but like I care about the people.
Right.
And so the fact that like everything was technically resolved by the end of the book, I don't think it was a book where they're giving you the clues to solve it.
Correct. Yes. And someone who really likes to solve it quickly and try to think like who did it, I was very surprised. I wish that he would have just done 1 murder solving at a time. I think I would have followed and tracked that better. But like it did come to a close. I feel like it was the last 10 pages that actually gave you the answers. And so you had to get through, again, really entertaining. But there were some times where you're like, okay, who did what, did where, and so, yeah, I agree.
Okay, so just for the record, Joyce was a nurse, Elizabeth was in the Secret Service, Ibrahim was a psychiatrist, and Ron was a trade union leader. Who do you think was the most helpful for solving the crimes?
I feel like Elizabeth.
Yes.
I mean, that's she was a spy. Obviously, that was her job previously, but also parts that she went in deeper. I feel like she did better than some of the others. I think all of them were great, though.
Right. They all had their own connections and their own ways of, like, weaseling in. I mean, Ron's son was a suspect. So, yeah. I mean, that was his own little venture over there. But Ibrahim also plays a larger role in the next book.
Oh.
And that was one of the critiques that I saw was that, like, Ibrahim doesn't actually use his therapist, psychiatrist skills at all in this book. And I think, like, they were like, why? Like, use your brain and, like, start psychoanalyzing here or, like, try to solve the murder.
Right.
And I think Osman does more of that in book 2.
Oh, good.
So we get a little more therapist Ibrahim.
That's good to know because I would like to see that. So good beach read.
So Joyce says, I am very happy to be overlooked and always have been. And I do think perhaps that will be helpful in this investigation. Do you agree?
I think the whole time I always said in my mind, Joyce is hiding something that she doesn't want anybody to know about. And I didn't think it was murder. I never thought that she was a suspect, and maybe she was, or knew information that she wasn't giving out. But I mean, I was like, she's hiding something. I don't know what it is. And so I felt like that. And so maybe she was like, I'm just going to be back here. I'm going to be behind everybody. But did you think she was?
I think she's definitely really good at being overlooked.
Yes.
And so she is kind of like in the background of scenes. And so I think in like the movie, she'll like be overhearing things and like you'll just kind of see her. But I think that's a great trait to have, honestly. I mean, sometimes like you want to be noticed, but
stand out. You don't want to be standing out when you're trying to solve a murder.
right. And I think she does do a really good job of it. I was trying, again, I had said I read this before, and I couldn't remember who did what, and it was so convoluted, and I was like, man, did Joyce kill somebody? Was she the one that did the syringe and kill Ian Bentham? Like, I can't think of what her reasoning would be for that. And even like, I feel like near the end, there's a couple people who kind of question that. Like, oh, Joyce was a nurse. She could have worked at the convent back in the day. And so they were kind of pointing to her. And at the last minute, when it was Elizabeth, Ron, and Ibrahim are going somewhere to confront somebody, and you don't know who they're actually going to confront, and Joyce is like running after them. And so I was like, wait, are they going, like, who did, what's her face, remember or notice from the picture?
Oh, yeah.
And so it was like, who did she recognize that was there? And so I was like, oh, crap, was it Joyce in the picture? But Joyce was the one who submitted the picture to that newspaper, and so there's no way she would have picked a picture of herself and put it out there. But for that small second, I was like, wait, did she do this?
All right, so I'm curious, the way they rated the people who they thought were guilty and the suspects.
Oh, yeah, Ron and Ibrahim sitting there, like, with their drink late at night, trying to figure out who did it. And, I mean, Ibrahim always has his, like, spreadsheet going and is, like, keeping detailed things. And so they're rating every single person. And they even said they were doing it based off of a TV show's grading system. So it was like they were Dancing with the Stars, and they're, like, holding up their rating, which I thought was ingenious, especially because Richard Osman is a game show host.
Yes.
And so it felt very fitting, and that felt maybe like an homage to his career in putting that in there. But Ron was like, why am I a 7? I'm not a 7. Well, okay, I guess I'm a 7.
Yeah, I love how he went, fine, give me a 7. And I love that whole aspect was like funny to me. That was humorous.
So what do you think about the fact that it was John and Penny?
I mean,
they were not talked about a whole lot.
No.
A very obscure character to fall into.
I mean, I didn't love the ending. I think it could have been better. I didn't, like, to me, I was like, all that, and that's who did that, and then that's the ending, like, fentanyl for everything, right? Just everybody's dying on fentanyl, right? And I was like, oh, okay, and so I didn't love that. To me, like, it didn't button it up and finish well. So, and like, it was so good, so great, and like building up so well. And then all of a sudden I was like, that's it? That's who killed it?
Well, and I think we've talked about this before, maybe with The Silent Patient or maybe First Lie Wins, but the character who is the murderer has to be a known character.
Yes.
It can't just be like, oh, that guy in the corner.
That's how it felt.
That's how it felt in this one. Because it really was the old man in the corner who just sat with his book every day.
And the wife that is, like, not even there.
Right. So, I mean, I think it was a clever way to not have to incriminate any of our Fab Four. And really, Penny was part of the Fab Four.
Yes.
So
she used to be.
Right. She was the number 4 because Joyce wasn't there.
Right.
So that felt like it was a stretch. And so, I mean, that was how one of them was solved. But the fact that they found the bones, like, I was like, this is so unrealistic. This is so unrealistic. And I suspend my disbelief. I can, like, go along for the ride. But I was like, okay, the one place where Bogdan goes and starts to dig down is where they're going to find bones.
Right.
Like, if he would have dug 2 inches to the right, we wouldn't have solved this. We wouldn't have had this whole problem.
I guess I'm also curious, 50 years, right? Do bones really stick around in, like, nothing for that long? Like, obviously, like, we're saying, but, like, I was all like...
I mean, we have dinosaur bones,
okay,
so...
sure. Right, but it makes me go, like...
Yes.
What is the likelihood of this, right?
Right. So the crimes that happened were not very believable. It was not realistic. But again, I just loved the process of them. She called in a favor and had her like bones expert come out. Like, what?
I loved the old people. And I think even in that, like, society really underwrites the elderly and like saying their abilities are not that great. I mean, this book shows you a different perspective. How did you feel about like how even society takes elderly and we don't really listen to them sometimes?
Yeah, I think that this is a good reminder, and I think we talked about it in our other episode about the old people that we love, that we could envision in this retirement village setting doing the same things. And it's like, yeah, each of those people has a story. They have a well-lived life and a ton of experience, and like, who's to say that you are nobody, that you don't have a purpose anymore? That is devastating. So I love that these people are thriving. They are also combating that. Like, they're trying to be seen as real people and know that they're running out of time.
Yeah.
Like, Elizabeth gives herself a quiz every day, which is crazy.
Yes, who was it? Was it Elizabeth that writes in the journal 2 weeks in advance so she can remember? I'm like,
I couldn't do that now. She's like, remember a license plate from 2 weeks ago? No.
I can't even remember it from yesterday.
No, I don't even know what my own license plate is.
That's funny.
I get out and look at it if I need it. What?
You don't even remember phone numbers anymore, probably. Maybe one.
Yeah.
Your husband's.
Yeah.
That's exactly. That's it. That's the only one. Because if I'm in jail, that's the only one I'm going to call. Yes.
Well, that's a good question. This is actually our last question. But if you had to solve a murder, what 3 other people would you get on board to solve that with you?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Family, friends, or celebrities?
Oh, see, the thing is about celebrities. I would love to say a celebrity, but, you know, like, how I don't know their real life. Right? Like,
that's true.
Could I get someone like, you know, Keanu Reeves, but not Keanu Reeves, but actually from Mission Impossible? That's what I would, you know, someone like that. But no, I mean, I would probably...
Tom Cruise? Is Keanu Reeves in Mission Impossible?
Oh, not Tom Cruise. Who is that? Is it Keanu Reeves?
No.
Tom Cruise.
It's Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible.
Hello.
But Keanu Reeves does...
okay, yes, but... Okay,
the other one.
I was
The
thinking,
Matrix.
Yes, that's him. I was thinking of him jumping on the couch on the Oprah episode. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. That's what I'm saying. I don't want the real life him.
Right.
Because he's a little nutso, but in the movies,
That's fair.
Great.
I said my husband.
Yeah.
And probably you, because you can get in the head of the psychos. And then I would totally do Helen Mirren.
Oh.
She's the one that's playing Elizabeth in this. But she's in a lot of these movies, and she's always this, like, sharp as a tack, feisty woman. So I would bring Elizabeth on board as well. I was thinking about this late last night, and my former coworker, co-anchor of mine for the news, he was, like, the best person at making phone calls and getting information. And so, like, as a journalist, that's a very, very good quality, but he was, like, above and beyond. So if we needed to find something, he was the one with the resources. He would have been the Elizabeth in this situation where he's got, like, a favor from somebody. He could sell ice to an Eskimo, like that kind of person. So Brian, he's on my team.
I guess if I had to say 4, I would say my husband. I would probably say you, because you would be super journalism. You would throw all the things. The point and what I love about, like, kind of us is you see things the way I don't see them. And so you would look at it and be like, no, that doesn't look right. I've done a lot of news, like, background. There's something wrong with this picture. And really, I would probably bring, like, my grandma, because my grandma Betty, she is definitely an Elizabeth there.
Nice. I love that.
If you had to label your great Aunt Opal, which one is she?
Ooh. Penny? No. What would Opal be from here? I don't think she fits Joyce or Elizabeth, but maybe more of an Elizabeth.
Just aspects.
Yeah, I can see it. The person that I'm picturing as Elizabeth looks a whole lot like Aunt Opal.
That's great.
Okay, let's go into Donna and Chris. Do you think PC Donna DeFreitas and DCI Chris Hudson make a good team?
Yes, because they're so different. I actually really loved their dynamic. I loved that Donna trusted them and even was kind of unprofessional.
Yeah.
Kind of not very unprofessional. And so crossed the lines of I'm going to
What could it hurt? I'm just going to text Elizabeth.
But I mean, do you think it was helpful that she did that and had that relationship?
Yeah.
I mean, yes. And so she kind of knew what she was doing. Now, Chris, I couldn't see him doing that. And so I enjoyed their dynamics. What about you?
I enjoyed that as well. And it is a little questionable professionally. Okay, well, I can't see why it would hurt to let you know what time this person died. 3:30. Okay. But I enjoyed it because I can picture Donna first going in for that training that she was supposed to give on door locks and whatever other silly basic topic for old people.
I felt like she was like a rent-a-cop at that moment. Yes.
Right. And they just bombarded her and oh, sis, please don't say this is what you're going to talk about. We want to know this. Tell us the real meat and juicy stuff. And so she was bombarded by that, and I think it also made her feel special. And as the girl cop on the team, I think that was lacking, and she was the underdog. So the fact that Elizabeth was able to get her in the investigation, that was
Ron played that little thing well. I was like, wow, look at that. I was curious when they said, don't worry about it.
Poor weak little Ron.
I was impressed.
Yeah. So I did really enjoy that. I think the first time reading this, I didn't fully understand the age gap between Donna and Chris. And so I was very confused because they were very friendly, but it was kind of father-daughter friendly, because then she puts her mom in Chris's path and they're dating at the end of this. And so and it ends up being this perfect little match, which I thought was so cute. But I think the first time reading it, I thought that
I was thinking
Donna
about the
was
same
older.
age for most of the book.
Right. So that came as a surprise when she was like, oh, here's my mom.
Yeah. And maybe she was a cougar. I don't know.
Maybe. But I think Donna is in her 20s.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Chris is 50. So, it made sense. I just wasn't paying close enough attention there. But that was a cute relationship as well.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed that little relationship.
The fact that Chris was, overweight and didn't want to go to the gym, didn't want to eat healthy food, and so he was just candy bars all the time. I liked that.
Really healthy diet there. How did you feel about the overall aspect of all her baking?
I loved Joyce and all of the baking. Every time they mentioned something, I was like, ooh, I want to try that. I bet that they could come up with a cookbook to go along with this book.
Yes.
There were so many recipes. I can't think of one that stood out, but she wielded her baked goods like a weapon. She knew what she was doing, and the one that cracked me up was when they had Chris and Donna over, and she kept giving him this cake, and then afterwards she's like, well, you might want to have Donna drive. There was a lot of liquor in those pastries. And I was like, okay, Joyce, I want to try those.
She knew what she was doing.
What did you think?
I just thought it all sounded good. It didn't really stand out to me as much as a prominent thing. I just thought, oh, she's just baking. She's using it how to get to someone's ability to speak is through their stomach. So let me make sure they're full of goodness.
She always had these treats, and she was giving them to Bernard and Bernard. And so it was just cute. She was trying to flirt with him by giving him
I know.
fun
I liked
food.
that. How'd you feel about that relationship?
That one made me chuckle. And it was really Joyce in general, because she always had a comment about the fellas. And so to me, I'll go back to the beginning when I said this was Golden Girls meets Friends. I felt like Joyce was Blanche and was the guy crazy, well, you can't hurt by looking. She was hilarious. What about the chapter when she learns about Tinder? I was rolling. It was hilarious because it was accurate.
Yes.
Because she was sad.
I know.
I want to read this because this is so actually on point for like the time and place that we're at in life, and
Yes.
that people are resorting
To Tinder.
to Tinder, online dating. I mean, I get it. That's what's out there. But here's what Joyce said. At least I discovered that online dating is not for me. You can have too much choice in this world. And when everyone has too much choice, it is also much harder to get chosen. And we all want to get chosen. And so she just remarked on how Tinder was just really sad. And that
superficial.
she was swiping through the pictures and everybody looked sad. Like to her, it all just seemed sad. These people were desperate.
I could see that.
And I was like, yeah. But in a world where we all want to be chosen, now there's too much choice.
Choice.
Which makes it hard to be chosen.
That is sad. I don't think I really read into that to understand really. And now that you're saying it, I'm like, oh, that is so sad.
She said it reminded her of pictures of lost cats, like put up on poles. I thought that was like the greatest description.
Oh, like the back of a milk carton.
Yes. That's all I'm going to think about when I think of online dating now.
I know.
Lost cats.
I also couldn't imagine being single in this day and age. Like, it would be hard. It'd be another level.
Yes. Not fun. Although Joyce did also, I'm sorry, I have a lot of quotes from Joyce because it was just so fun and playful. But she had mentioned when she met her husband, Jerry, and she said, from the moment I laid eyes on him, he didn't stand a chance, the lucky thing.
And she's so confident.
Right?
I loved her confidence.
Yes.
And in a lot of areas in this book, she was very confident in her abilities. And just overall, I enjoyed it.
Yes. So we kind of touched on this, but did you at any point have any idea who might have committed the murders?
Thought for a little while it was Father Matthew Mackey. I did see like, okay, he could do it. He could have done it. There could be more to the story. Then when his story unfolded, which really ends up being insignificant, but it was like, okay, no, it's not him. So for a little while I thought it was him. And for a while, I thought Jason did at least kill one of them. And I did think about Bogdan only because I thought he knows as soon as Tony dies, he's going to be rich. And so I thought there's a lot. It went all over the place.
Right. It was all over the place. And like I said, I don't think the clues were adequate for us to pinpoint anything.
Right.
There was a lot of misdirection and a lot of implied. You could have done it. So, yes, like Father Mackey, yeah, he was very suspicious. And that whole situation was, take it or leave it.
Yes.
It just kind of added to the confusion. And that's where I was like, there is too many people dying over here. What is happening? How am I supposed to? So, no, I had no idea. I would say Father Mackey was probably there. I did enjoy that Jason was pinpointing the farmer's daughter. I can't remember her name at this moment, but the
Karen?
one that, yes, Playfield. Playfair.
Karen. I just know her name's Karen.
Yes, from this Tinder date and like trying to do the gotcha on that. Did those pieces kind of start to come together? Did you suspect her?
I didn't.
No. I mean, that was a really good theory.
Yeah.
And
it
then,
was.
She ended up pointing them to the actual person.
Right.
So that was cool. It makes me wonder if Jason and Karen, actually, because they had an awful first date, but like she said, maybe this, we'll remember this as being a really funny story down the road.
So then maybe they end up going out?
Maybe.
I mean, why not?
I don't remember that from book 2, but that could just have dropped off the scene. I don't know.
Did it stand out to you at all about the very end, Joyce hinting about her daughter buying the land? And so then it was like, wait, because they didn't want them to keep digging. Did it make you go, see, Joyce is hiding something? Because that's where my mind went.
No, but I can see that. But that goes to what I was saying, where her daughter, Joanna, was realizing that this property, this development that her mom is in, is actually bringing her life and brings her joy. And they have a complicated relationship. I really loved how that was displayed. Like, Osman did a really good job with the, like, mother-daughter dynamic there, the strained mother-daughter dynamic, where Joyce is worried about saying something that might upset Joanna and also wants her to be proud of her. And, like, there was a lot going on there. But I thought it was really cool that because they had brought all of the financials to Joanna and they were like, hey, there's actually a lot of money to be made here. Like, let's get in on this. So
True.
I thought that was a pretty cool full circle moment, but I did not suspect that maybe Joyce is hiding something up there too. Man.
That's the murder mystery person in me thinking, like, okay.
Maybe that's book 3 or 4.
Maybe. Have you read book 3 or 4?
I haven't.
Oh.
Just 2.
So maybe.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I mean, I'm excited now to even pick up book 2. So
Right. And I think that the plot in book 2 was a lot easier to follow.
That's good.
That's where this one I was all over the place, but book 2 I felt like it wasn't 4 murders and 5 countries. It was a lot more simple. And just fun with the characters.
Yes. The only other thing that stood out to me that I kind of enjoyed was Jason bringing everyone a gift. I thought that was like, oh, Jason's not such a bad guy in my mind, thinking that he's just this, like, big boxer guy coming around, like, you know, big head honcho and not caring. That's kind of how I saw him, that he was kind of just there. He kind of, like, didn't care about relationships, but then he actually cared enough that he came up with these gifts that were really caring gifts.
Yes, but I feel like Elizabeth didn't end up getting a present because he promised he was going to solve the case, and then he didn't. I mean, Karen did, but I feel like Elizabeth should be coming and asking for a favor someday. Like,
Well,
you didn't get me my present.
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so bringing gifts, I have to go back to this quote because Joyce, on her first Thursday murder club, like, she was invited into their group on a Thursday, she brought a glass or a bottle of wine. And she said she brought a nice bottle of wine, $8.99, just so that you know. And I died laughing because Joyce just felt so relatable. I was like, oh, a $9 bottle of wine. Yeah, that's fancy.
Versus, like, what do they call that? The $2
$2 chuck.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. I started drinking wine on, like, the $2 or $3 bottle at
The Boone's Farm?
Aldi. No, not even. I got Aldi wine. I don't think Aldi can't do wine here in Maryland, but in Michigan, Aldi had $3 wine. And so,
Wow.
like, that is what I'm picturing. But $8 for this lady to be saying that that's a really nice bottle of wine. That just kind of set the stage, or, like, that set the bar. Like, these people don't care. They don't care. And that's what I love about them. They have nothing to lose, and they're just living life.
What I love about the elderly generation that this is bringing out, that they just, when they think or feel something, they were just saying and doing it. And so I loved that they were just simply, all right, I don't care. What do I have to lose? I've lived this long in life. I'm okay. And I'm just going to say it like it is. If you don't like it, I'm going to bring my nice $9 bottle of wine.
Yes.
And we're all going to enjoy it. And so, yes, I agree with that. It's a good one.
So I do want to point out to any of our listeners, we are very active on social media, and we have a lot of fun and silly posts. We also send out a newsletter to email subscribers. There's, like, no strings attached to that. It's just a newsletter, and we announce what book we're doing next ahead of schedule, ahead of what we post on social media. So if you want to know, to be able to find out what books we are reading, you got to get on the list. So there's links in our bio to go and sign up for that, or just email us.
Yes.
So approachablepodcast@gmail.com. We will answer your questions. But with that in mind, for my newsletter, when we announced this book, we included a wine pairing.
Yes.
Because it
I
just
loved
felt
that.
so fitting to have, and it said, like, a Pinot Noir, because it's just ritzy enough to feel cozy. It was like, it just felt right. So that's my plug to go and get on our newsletter list because I like writing it.
Well, and it's really like, it's fun to read too. Like it's very simple. There's not a whole lot. And if someone gives us their reviews, we do feature those. And so that's kind of fun to feature that as well.
Yeah. I try to put in some early like behind the scenes clips or something that will come from the next episodes because we have them recorded a little in advance. So there is behind the scenes sneak peeks and we like to feature listener reviews. So if you've read the book, send your review because we want people to interact because that's what this is.
Yes, and we want this to truly be a book club to where it's not just you and I ranting and raving and we can all day long, but I want other people to join in on the fun.
Okay, well, speaking of ratings, what you got?
Ooh, this is a good one. So, as I said, I loved the book. I loved it all the way up until the actual plot twist of this is who did it and some of the characters that were insignificant. I thought I got lost in that. I just was like, come on, why does this person matter? And then to find out who did it and who didn't do it, I was like, that was a letdown. I was like, ooh, 5 stars for like most of the book. And then I was like, wah, wah. So with that, I still give it a 4.5.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
Mine's a 4.5 too.
Yes.
Yeah, mine is similar to that, where I loved this. It was so cozy and charming, like you said. But the plot and like the twisting, and even now after finishing it twice, I'm still like, wait, who died and who killed them? I still am confused because Penny was a cop and killed a suspect in a murder and then tried to hide it and then lived her life as a cop and then was guilty. It was a lot to wrap your mind around. And I felt like it was very unrealistic,
right?
But in a very cute way.
Yes.
So yes, still a 4.5. And that's where I said the second book, I probably rate that one higher because it was easier to follow and you still have all of these lovely characters.
Good. Well, good. I think that does great. Now go keep reading.
Keep ranting.
And remember, you're so approachable.
And the funny thing was that Joyce was worried about her Tupperware and the ashes.
Oh. I was like, gross. And then you're wondering throw that sucker away.
But it was her nice Tupperware.
Throw it away.
Ah.